Michael! Michael.
Michael.
When the Templars murdered my family, when the whole bloody world's gone crazy. Hellcat, Sector 9!
To Michael!
Michael!
For all he does. For all of us. To Michael.
To Michael! To Michael! To Michael!
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, you see this stack of games next to me. I'm continuing my adventure back into the PS3. Really appreciate the support on that video. We spent a lot of time on it. I was really excited about it, but also felt very passionate about the topic. And I wanted to take things one step further today, because I did tease it in that video saying you could make a whole video exploring the online component of the PlayStation 3. And we're doing just that today. What I want to do is go back into the PlayStation 3 storefront and cover that experience, but I also got a stack of games here that I wanted to check out how they play online. Is anyone playing PS3 online? One of the main driving reasons for me to tackle this topic was actually because when we did a very random retrospective on Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, and I was playing that full campaign, I ended up having someone join my game, and it was this weird, isolated, almost creepy kind of occasion where I was like, someone else is on this game on Xbox 360 in the middle of January. What's going on here? And I was wondering to myself, would I find anyone online with PS3? Famously, PSN was free compared to Xbox Live, which you had to pay for. Yet, online play was predominantly found on Xbox 360. So is anyone playing this stack of games I have beside me online on the PS3? The answers may surprise you. So let's dive into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new here and you're into nostalgic or retrospective content, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. So next to me is this stack of games here, and I went through it first with my heart before I looked up a list online, which I'll share with all of you in a moment here. So I started with games that, man, it would be great if this is still online, right? So I went into things like Lord of the Rings Conquest. I grew up playing this game a ton, and I remember grinding this thing online even more so. I would love for this one to come back. Unfortunately, this is not available. The servers are offline. This will be a common occasion here for a lot of games, and the ones that do have servers online that were in my collection, I was so surprised by, which leads to a big talking point of this video. So naturally, I started to go a little bit deeper. I went, all right, let me check what PlayStation's first-party catalog's doing online. Certainly, this stuff has to be around. Well, let me introduce you to the brick wall known as Online Pass. So, if I wanted to play something like God of War Ascension online, your boy would have to go onto the PlayStation storefront and pay for an online pass to maybe get into a game. I stashed this potential option until I could see if other games had more of an online presence, but I thought this was an EA thing. That's what my memory taught me. Like, I remember for EA games, Mass Effect 3 all the way to FIFA, online passes were the wave, right? Like, you had to have an online pass, but that was an EA thing, right? Wrong. So many of these games that I went through demanded an online pass, and it was rather inconsistent. Like, God of War Ascension needed an online pass, just one of many things wrong with that game. Meanwhile, something like Killzone 3 did not need an online pass, but also its servers were offline. So when I started to see these servers were offline, I was thinking to myself, oh, this video might be cooked then. Because who is online if first-party studios do not keep their servers online? And we'll get to that in a second. My last blind selection was Mortal Kombat 9. I grew up playing this a ton in high school. I loved the online play for this, and I thought, if anyone's gonna save me here, it's the fighting game community. And I was really sad to learn that. I have such fond memories of this game, and the fact that it is only single player with a roster this good, and its multiplayer was so good. It was during a time where NetherRealm fighters weren't just spam fest. Like, man, very sad to see that. So what was online? I found this list here over on Reddit, and the list as of September 2025 will surprise you here. You see everything from Aliens, Colonial Marines to Aliens vs. Predators. BioShock 2 is online, and it is a pretty long list. So I go through all of this, I read the comments, people are talking about the games that they're able to play, and I think to myself, okay, let me check what's on my shelf and see what I can play that is online. And the fact that some of these games do have servers online still is commendable, even if nobody is playing them. So I go to Aliens vs. Predators, and I'm like, oh, this has like a very niche online community. Certainly I'll be able to play this one online. No one was there. Fear 3 has its servers online. I searched every type of match, campaign, online, what have you. I remember playing Fear 3 multiplayer for like a single hour back in high school because my first video series I ever did on my Mr. Matty Plays channel was a Fear 3 Let's Play. If you want to just check out a real rambunctious time for me, you can go ahead and look at that one there. But that was one that was available, but no one was playing it, understandably so. Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Athena had its servers online. Like, these games don't have online passes, and you were able to go online and play them. I don't know how these servers, these official servers, are online. Because keep in mind, some of the games I have mentioned, like Lord of the Rings Conquest, there are like fan-run servers or people go through emulation, and you could play these games online, but I'm like checking for the official server capacity. So these 3 games somehow have their servers online. Nothing, though. So then I go back to my anime community. I'm like, if anyone's weird enough like me to be playing these games in 2025, it's got to be the fighting game community. So I go to Dragon Ball. I'm like, certainly something's got to be going on with Battle of Z. Now, to unlock the co-op mode, the battle mode, you got to beat like the first set of missions in the game. So I ended up playing that hot mess for a little bit. First time going through Battle of Z since I played the demo on my Vita, and yeah, it has not aged well, but I'm like, hey, I want to see if anyone's online here. Same answer as before, no one. I go over to Tekken Tag Tournament. Online pass required. More on that in a little bit. And then the last game I tried was Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. This was the one I went, it's an Arc System games. You really can't get Arena Ultimax everywhere. Like, this should be safe. I was wrong. So yeah, a lot of this was me just firing up games, seeing multiplayer was active, but no one was playing. You know, it's like a graveyard now. I have such great memories in some of these games online. So the real takeaway here is that while there are people playing online with some more popular games, I find it really sad to see that PlayStation of all companies has taken some of their servers offline, while Aliens vs. Predator, Chronicles of Riddick, and Fear 3 can keep theirs afloat. Make that make sense to me, because it doesn't. So PS3 online gaming is a bit abysmal, you know, and I get why more people gravitate towards the 360 library for this stuff, but there's really nothing going on here. Now, do keep in mind as we go along here that there are some ways to play these games, but you have to get a little finicky with it. There are fan dedicated sites to it like PS Rewired, where you can join straight up communities and set up online matches with people. There's literally Reddit threads dedicated to the status of Killzone multiplayer within the last month, and there's even people within the last month telling you how to set up your PS3 to play SOCOM Confrontation online. So the PS3 online community is vibrant. You can find ways to play. It usually involves setting up a very specific DNS setting within your internet settings on your PS3, but in the terms of the official capacity, that's mostly what we're looking at here today. So the next step of this video was for me to check out the PlayStation 3 storefront, see how things were cracking over there. If I wanted to buy anything, such as an online pass, what was that process like? And how did things fare after a potential teardown? Let's take a look. Now, before we take a look at this PlayStation storefront, you should be aware of a few things. Number one is that in 2021, PlayStation announced that they were going to shut down the PS3 and Vita stores, and in turn, we were going to lose a lot of PS1 classics, a lot of PSP classics, and the natural response from a lot of consumers was, well, bucko, you better put all those games out on your PlayStation 4 and 5 if that's the ecosystem you're going to shove us into. Naturally, like many companies nowadays, that solution isn't available. So what does PlayStation do? To the surprise of many, in 2021, they also put out a notice saying, hey, we're going to leave these storefronts up. However, they were very much in the middle of committing to that teardown. And you can feel that, especially in the PS Vita storefront, where things like thumbnails, like the images for the video games, are straight up missing. They were just very much taking this thing offline. And when Jim Ryan and others at PlayStation put out the order to halt that, you could tell they very much left it as is. They didn't repair it or restore that order. And that's one of many, many reasons why the PlayStation storefront is ridiculously slow. The second thing you should know is that it wasn't always like that. I actually found this really interesting video on YouTube looking at Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception's Fortune Hunters Club, and this person fires up a 2011 version of the PlayStation Store, and you'll see here it's a completely different layout, but look at how quickly it goes. Look how quickly this person loads into all of this, right? It's a night and day difference from what you're about to see here. So I already have it loaded up because it already takes like a good 30 seconds to get in here, but we have the storefront here, and the first thing you're hit with is a notice that if you want to buy anything, you have to go through your desktop or mobile device to add funds to your PSN account, and then you can make those purchases on the Vita or the PS3. So it's already a bit of a hassle to buy anything here. What do they look for in the best of PS3? Saints Row, Sonic, 2K, Sonic again, 2K again. You can already see, like, this thing is in absolute shambles. Then Capcom, and then right next to it is Devil May Cry 4, another Capcom game, best of $30. Let's see what they're selling for $30 on the PlayStation Store, which you can see this thing is loading so slowly here. LA Noire is 30, Red Dead is 30, Borderlands Ultimate Edition 30, Dragon's Dogma, I already have this, so I think that's why it's not priced out. Gold Edition for Resident Evil 5 is 30. Yeah, as you can see here, prices have come down on a lot of these games, but not on this storefront here. What are they selling for $20? Is a good question as well here. Sonic Generations, one of my favorite, another Sonic game here. We have GTA 4 for $20, kind of price comparable to what it is complete in box on the market, so not too bad there. I find this Devil May Cry game super underrated, by the way. But okay, the other fun stuff to kind of look at on this storefront, in my opinion, by fun I mean awful, is if you were to search for something. So you saw how that individual was searching earlier, where you just went into the U section and there were all the games labeled by you. So let's say you saw earlier how I wanted to get my Tekken Tag Tournament online pass. So I have to go all the way down, T, boom, E, and you'll see this starts to slow down more because on the right, it keeps like loading it in slowly. Oh, I accidentally hit I, Tekken. All right, we should be in that ballpark now. And there we go. It's like, okay, there's Tag Tournament 2. It's lagging as we go to it. Okay, let's click on that. Takes a while to load. $20, not bad. And then we go to network passes and it's $10. Now, if I wanted to buy this, again, I cannot buy this here. I would have to go to my app or I'd have to go on the desktop and add $10 of funds to my wallet, which I think many of us who are trying to log games on our PS3 that are only available in the online format or the Vita are used to this stuff. But yeah, it doesn't feel all that great. But that's how you actually search for things. And once you want to back out, again, you can see how slow it is. It backs through each letter and then you're back at the menu here. So I think it's just a good memory of like how slow this thing used to be and how it is much better nowadays. Like I showed in our PS3 retrospective how the download and install times are slow, and like that's not even getting into just navigating this thing. In fact, this thing is so old. You see here they're promoting a PlayStation 4 bundle. They're like, hey, $300 to get in on this. Good times. Now hardware prices are going up. If you look at some of the games here, they considered a top game Catherine Full Body, which, hey, I love that game, but definitely an interesting selection there. I love how much Vita is present in this storefront here, because this was at a time where PlayStation was really trying to synchronize their Vita and PS3 library, so they had like a cross-buy feature. So there were plenty of games, and I'll show you my actual downloadable library in a little bit here, but there were plenty of games that had this kind of cross-buy purchase, like Sly Cooper Thieves in Time here. But you'll see here, Shovel Knight is here. Mass Effect Trilogy is $30 on the PS3, which is kind of crazy to think about because I just saw, as we record this, is Black Friday. The Legendary Edition is like $6 on Steam, which is pretty insane. There's Catherine, $20. It's not full body. I spoke out of turn there. That was on the PS4, actually. Jack and Daxter Collection, $10. Not too bad there. They got some classics here, though. Like you can get Sonic Adventure for $4. And this was the main reason people were really upset that the storefront was going to go away. It was less about the games I've been pointing out here that are still very much full price and they should be like deeply discounted at this point. But what it was like, oh, I want to get like these PSN games, like Sonic Adventure 2. Like I don't want to get it anywhere else. And so that was something that was really useful for people like me who wanted to collect retro games, because the PS1 classics, especially on like the Vita, I think are some of the most useful things that they have here. I think we can find them under genres. Let's see here. So the best way to find PS1 classics is to search like this, because then it'll actually find it in the search bar. There is no genre for it though, or category for it. And you can see there's a pretty respectable amount of PS1 games and like great ones. I know Chrono Trigger on PS1, like we don't talk about that, but I'm saying like there's actually a pretty decent library here. Dino Crisis is on the storefront. They have the Toy Story games. Of course, you know, Maddie loves the Toy Story games. Double Dragon's here. Some of the Final Fantasy games are here. Plenty of examples here. And then you can also check out PSP, and you'll see there's a also decent amount of PSP games here. Army of Two, the 40th Day was on PSP. I did not know about that. But this is really good for Vita players or those who want to play PSP games on their PS3. So this is one of the reasons it was also pretty valued. There's some other interesting things on the storefront that I wanted to show off. Like they had PlayStation Music, which I totally forgot about this era of PlayStation just like attempting to have their own like music on Spotify, and they made it like this big promotional thing. And then you can actually, one of the things that they were going to keep online is, even though the store was going to shut down, which by the way, you can still see the store, they don't want you buying anything here because popular genres and all games work, but deals is just empty. There's no deals to be found on this storefront. And you saw in the earlier rendition what I was showing with the PlayStation storefront. This is their way of getting around that. So you can just go through all games. So obviously you have to use that awful search bar, which is just crazy. So yeah, this is an extremely slow, bad storefront. And then I just wanted to go down memory lane a bit because when the store was getting shut down, you could actually go still into your library and get your previous downloads or purchases you made. So they weren't cutting you off from games you already own. And I was tabbing through this a little bit, and I was surprised how many, when you see at the top right, my downloads, I have 262 things in here, which I was a big physical collector like my entire life. So I'm surprised how many I do have. And some of these games I forgot about, like Dragon Fin Soup. Some of these I remember were PS Plus games. Like I didn't buy Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. I think that was a free game that PlayStation was giving out at the time. That's what a lot of these games were, because I would have taken, you see, this was during my like PS Vita and PS3 era. Anything PS Vita, I was just on top of, right? Like, yeah, because you just saw I passed PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, but I bought it for my Vita as well. Grand Kingdom, that's one I completely forgot about. But as we go deeper, because right now you'll see some of these purchases were made in like 2022, but as we go back further in the library, you'll see some 2021 purchases, because again, you see all of these purchases were made around the time that PlayStation was like, yeah, we're going to take that storefront down. So I grabbed both Mega Man Legends games and Breath of Fire 4, because I was like, you know, why not? I've never played Breath of Fire before, but you'll see in here, Lost Dimension, underrated Vita game, Toy Story 3, of course, one of the GOATs, Dissidia, Final Fantasy was there, but yeah, Cyber Sleuth is here. Just a lot of games that I purchased on this store. And all this Persona 4 DLC, that's probably like half the items here. Oddworld New and Tasty, Munch's Odyssey HD. All the Mega Man classics are here. As you can see, I do have a little bit of a fixation on Mega Man. Dynasty Warriors 8, SpongeBob Hero Pants. I remember buying that after college one day and being so disappointed. Because you know me, I always like to keep up on those SpongeBob games. The Pit, Fallout 3 The Pit. Yeah, like, I barely used this storefront at first, man. Persona 3 on PSP, of course. HD collection. There you go. Bought it in 2014, like I mentioned in our Metal Gear Solid retrospective. Burial at Sea. Yeah, just like a lot of Luftrausers. I forgot about that game. Just a lot of games I completely forgot about. Let's see what the earliest purchase I made on this storefront was. What was the first online thing? Oh my God, Uncharted. Wow. Okay, let's see here. We've got Battlefield 1943 demo. I downloaded the World at War demo. Enemy Territory Quake Wars. Forgot about that game. Lost Planet 2. Damn, I was just a demo fiend. This is when I got my PS3, so I was just like, what can I play? What can I learn about Warhawk demo? The Punisher? No, I don't even remember that game. Oh my God. Star Wars, Clone Wars, Republic Heroes. Is this demo? I downloaded the demo for this too. What? Did I play a video game? I bought the DLC for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then I moved into Call of Duty, Tekken, Army of Two, and then Dragon Age. Yeah, as you can see here, this storefront, not great, very slow, but good trip down memory lane to see just how bad we had it in some ways. But I think this will go away at one point or another. So if you're looking to make purchases on this storefront, secure anything that you think might go away forever, I would do it sooner rather than later. Just, of course, be careful because of how expensive things can be on this storefront. There are no deals to be found here. So that's online gaming for the PS3 in 2025. Not really the prettiest sight compared to the single player side of things that we showed earlier this week. If you're buying a PS3, I think it goes without saying that in 2025 heading into 2026, it is your single player machine. You should really focus on games like that and probably try not to torture yourself by buying games that have online trophy lists, which is why some of these games being offline was also really frustrating, because games like Killzone 3 do have multiplayer trophies. I'll always regret not going back to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale and getting the online trophies for that game before those servers went offline, because so many of its trophies are attached to the online play and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's a real bummer. But again, that is online play for PS3 in 2025. It was a fun romp. but I'll stick to my single player games. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you're playing on your PS3 down below. Thanks for supporting these videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.